morning. Welcome to Sunrise. I'm Joke Rogers, and with me here this morning is...
I'm Yomi Otaigbe, sitting in for Ayo Makinde. He's somewhere trying to get a bit of rest.
Yeah, certainly.
So,
but hey,
deserved.
You have two lovely ladies in front of you to brighten up your Saturday even more. And that's what we're going to do, isn't it, Yomi?
Yes.
But this morning, we'll be talking about what concerns a lot of women the more.
Yeah, and that is about tomatoes. So I don't know if you've noticed recently that the prices have come down.
Yes. And
it's typical of this time. I think from late December, particularly in January, I like to buy my tomatoes January 1st.
Right.
Because on that day, of course, there are less people in the market.
Yeah.
And then the price. Earlier this month, a crate of tomato was sold for 5,000 naira. And this same tomatoes, this crate, you could have bought it by May, June, July. You may be begging them with 25,000 naira to buy the same.
Yeah.
So it's tomato season, and please just make the best of it. If you know how to preserve it,
yeah.
I put mine in freezer, and it will just be fresh for as long as it's there.
Yeah.
So some people will boil it, some people would blend it and cook it. But however, just make sure that you have enough tomatoes to keep.
There you have it. I can tell you categorically that she's an expert on all things tomato and pepper, onions.
Onions is also
fish,
a bit better too.
Fish. I learned the art from her. So yeah,
so
I can tell you.
You can take that.
You can take that to the market.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So so many other things happened during the week. I don't want to belabor with political issues, but then we had the court in Ibadan voiding the PDP convention that was held in Ibadan at some point last year. Of course,
good news for
yes,
PDP.
the PDP has kicked against it. And we also had another matter of the Labour Party, also a quote saying that the Nenadi Usman, whatever, is
now the substantive
one. So there's so many things, that are happening.
Well, it's the season. We are going gradually into it. 2027 is around the corner, even though I think campaigns and all of that for the election will not start until early next year.
Yeah.
But you can see a lot of movements, people saying one or two things about their preferred candidates.
Yeah.
Maybe INEC may need to look into that also to be sure that people are not violating the Electoral Act.
Yes.
And I think it's just the season. We'll see a lot more of it.
Yes.
And we'll be sure that things will be very, very interesting.
Yes, and the other interesting developments in Anambra State, the market situation.
Okay, so that market situation, it was, when I heard it, I said, okay, yes, the people cannot continue to stay off on Mondays. But on the other hand, how secure is, the environment for them to come and trade? Although some people are saying, oh, these people are sympathetic to the cause of the IPOB leader and all of that. But I think they're having a conversation around it now, even though we've seen some protests here and there saying they would not open on Monday.
But, the governor said he had visited Nnamdi Kanu, twice on this matter. Before he became governor, I visited him, and after he became governor, and Nnamdi Kanu vehemently condemned the Monday sit-at-home. So he now asked, so who is enforcing it? Mm-hmm. And so because of that, I said, you know what, you people should go back to your shops on Mondays. Don't worry, you'll be protected.
So there may be some of them that are scared of what could happen, because you've seen sometimes when people go to the market on these Mondays, and a lot of things like attack would happen on them, and they want to stay away. But it would seem also like some other people are sympathetic to the cause, and they want to make sure that this continues. Although, is it good for the economy of the state, or all of these states?
They lose billions, but there are meetings that have been going back and forth. Another one held yesterday. So let's hope that everything comes out quite well and positively.
Yeah. So Another thing happening today, let me read it out. Fela becomes first African to receive posthumous Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award.
Wow,
that's something to clap about.
Yes,
you know, it's something
feat.
Despite the fact that it's been gone for a long time, all of the legacies that he left behind, you know, people are still recognizing them and saying, yes, this person made a huge difference when it comes to Afrobeats. Even though we've had on social media, let me call it basbos about who is the greatest or who is the best. But whether you like it or not, whether you like in terms of morality, you say you don't want to be the brand, you don't want to identify with it, but what Fela has done in the music industry, particularly Afrobeat, you can't take it away.
Yes, people have climbed.
You may have your misgivings.
Even posthumously, people have still climbed on his shoulders to make, you know, to build on whatever he had done for Afrobeats and all that. People are still, it's still a reference point for a lot of music professionals, musicians that are coming out this time.
And, and it will be a reference point
for a long time. It's
something that's happening today in Los Angeles. Yes. And I think Femi and a couple of other members of the family, even though Shem says, I hear he doesn't have, you know, the visa to go, but it's something good for Nigeria. It's something good for the family and, you know, Afrobeats in general.
It's really great. And something else that we're looking forward to, although it's still in about 2 months, the Senate has set March 17 for the passage of the 2026 appropriation bill. So the deliberations are going on, meetings are going on. Departments and agencies have already been notified to come and do their budget defenses. So I'm sure that by the time that happens, everybody will heave a sigh of relief that the budget.
We'll have a budget, but of course you have the discussion around how did the 2025-2024 budget, you know, how was it implemented, and you know, all of the critical areas that need to get the funds, because it's one thing to appropriate and say this is it, but getting the actual fund to do all of the things that are needed is also very critical. But
all right.
It's good news for Nigerians, and we're hoping that that will come to pass.
So what are we doing today? A lot. We're starting with security, I believe.
Yeah, security, yes. So we'll be having a chat with the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State.
Yes.
A lot of security issues have come up in the past weeks and days.
And of course, we'll also be talking about electricity supply and the collapse of the national grid, although some people argue that it's not a collapse of the national grid, it's just some issues, you know, with the network of distribution that causes the outage.
And it's been 1 month of new tax regime. How did it fare so far? The controversy is still around it, and, you know, what's the way forward?
Yes, certainly. And then we have the lifestyle de-stressing to promote mental well-being among workers.
Which is very, very key. Not just workers, for everybody.
Everybody, really. Yeah.
We all need that. And of course, we have our Taste of the Week.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. We'll be back in a moment.
My mind, oh, I did for you, my friend.
Welcome back. Well, in an era where digital economies and industrial clusters and homes, more importantly, are powered by electricity, when things go off and everybody's in the dark for hours or for days, and you get an announcement from the power distributors that there's a problem with their line, something has gone off, and we apologize. Those apologies come too often, Yomi, I must say.
Okay, that's if they come. That's if they come.
And they say there's a national grid collapse. Yes, what does that mean?
National grid collapse.
Collapse.
Okay, what's happening? Why? We've heard it. I can't even count the number of times we've heard that.
Yes, and twice in January.
And in 2026 already. So how do we fix this?
Yes.
How do we ensure that we have steady power supply? Because it affects businesses, homes, just about everything that we do. And in terms of growing the economy, you can't have an epileptic power supply and think that the economy will grow.
And at some points, we've heard that, oh, the problem was that there was not enough funding for power.
We'll get to know all of that. So.
And now that there is, I wonder what's happening. So joining us today, we have a power sector analyst, Abubakar Umar. He joins us in the studio. We also have someone else, but we're just going to Professor Yemi. Okay, yes, but we'll stick with you for now. What's happening? Let me put it that way, to our power sector.
Yeah, so thank you very much for having me. Good morning once again. So the issue of grid collapse has been a very long issue. I believe we have been discussing it since last 2 years and then up to now. But I will say this year we are just up to a very bad start. When you look at the start in 2024, we had a series of grid collapse, I think up to 12 or so. But in last year, I believe that we do not have collapse in Q1, Q2, Q3, even Q4. It's only recently in December that we had challenges of gas supply, which we had that some vandalism has happened with the ELPS pipeline gas network with NMPC line in December. That's when we had issues around supply. Up until recently, I would say last year is a good year because we have recorded almost 0 collapse. But starting this year, we almost have 2 partial or full system collapse this year. And the issue about grid collapse is that it's an engineering problem that comes, that was exacerbated maybe by commercial issues, which means that a direct example will be that when the electricity in your house is stripped, you know, something happens, maybe when you connect electricity to, when you connect something bad and then, you know, something trip and your light goes off in your house. So you have to go and check what happens and then you fix it. So that's akin to the national grid issue. It's a case of wires or some kind of problem that is occurring somewhere, which is significant enough to affect the entire system because the system has to protect itself. So the safety is the reason why the entire system will shut down and then they will now restart the issue. So it's a case of there should be enough funding to be able to provide good equipment which can withstand, you know, for a very period of time without that collapse happening. So the issue is that you are having lack of funding to fix the areas that is creating those kind of collapse. And it can happen anywhere because, you know, one of the issues on the sector is aging equipment. Some of the infrastructures have been there for long. There is no replacement on that. And everybody will see that, yeah, of course, it's about money. And then a lot of people will say, why is it not happening elsewhere? So it's not happening somewhere in terms of, you know, engineering problem. That is, a grid is not collapsing elsewhere. And elsewhere also you realize that they have reasonable funding. The power that is dispatched has been paid for in full. So, but unlike the case here in Nigeria. So that lack of, you know, money, funding, it's what is making, you know, the entire system not to have recent equipment that will allow us to have that steady supply over a long period of time. So these are some of the issues we are having. But I will say from last year, the way the system has been is a bit more, you know, I will say advanced improvement compared to this year. And I believe that
what was done differently that caused this advance and improvement that you said?
So what I may say differently is probably I will only trace back to you know, the implementation of the Recent Electricity Act, and there have been some changes with the TCN. You know, the Electricity Act of 2023, particularly Section 15, has tried to separate the work of the TCN, which is the grid owner and controller. They bifurcate them into two. You know, grid owner is now different from who controls the grid. So, and then from that angle, you have a person that someone, which is the NICE or Nigeria Independent System Operator. They are the people, you know, controlling the grid. So, and in that aspect, they will be able to look at it independently where there are issues, they try to, improve on those areas and ask the relevant stakeholders to ensure that any areas that may lead to collapse here and there has been, improved. So there are a lot of there are investment in some isolated, different areas, and then the stakeholders are also coming together to try and avoid that from happening. So I will say they have done a lot of background work, which has worked, and then availability of gas supply is also very critical, which is something they have been working across the interagency to ensure that they have a very good system. So what they have done last year really yielded a very reasonable result. But this year is too early to say what happened. Sometimes you can have a series of consistent good policy, and then if something happens, if you have a mistake somewhere, then definitely you are going to have, it's going to wind back all the gains that you have gained for a very long period of time.
If you compare the models that we use in Nigeria, infrastructure model for electricity, with other countries, would you say we are, at par, or maybe taking it too far at par? We are somewhere close to where we should be.
Yeah, so it will be a tough one. When you compare us with another country, there are areas where we are good and there are areas where we are lacking. When you look at it as a whole, most time you find out that the issues will come from the government, right? There are areas where the government is supposed to do one thing, and then the customers also supposed to respond. It's a symbiotic or reciprocal arrangement, whereby if the government provide the needed power, then you as a person also supposed to, pay for that power. But then the sector is in a way that, there is no meter for customers. They will not agree to pay, and the companies are also saying that you have to pay, so all these sort of things, which is not happening in other places. So of course you are not going to have the same result. So our issue, I will say, is peculiar, and it has been long for a very long period of time. It's very unusual. But whatever you look at it, I try to make the issues to be a governance issue, right? If the governance set the tone of what they want to do, I believe that they can tweak anything and make it happen.
Right, thank you. I think we have a senior advocate of Nigeria, professor of energy and electricity law, Yemi joining us now on the program. Thank you for joining us. He joins us virtually. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and good morning. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Right, and you have just joined at the right time, and we've been having this discussion about the national grid and the persistent collapse. Of course, we've already said that a majority of last year we really didn't have much incidences, concerning it. But for twice this year already, we've had two in this January. He's talked a lot about the infrastructure, and of course, Yomitu has alluded to that, the infrastructure of the national grid and the form in which it is in this 21st century. The current form in which it is, can the grid be modernized in its current centralized configuration? Modular islanding or a more realistic technical fix can be given to it so that we don't have this consistent collapse due to lack of gas or what have you. That's always the excuse that's given to it.
Thank you. Several years ago, we pushed the narrative that we can't be relying on a federated grid in the 21st century because it's not realistic, it's not the way the world is going. Quite frankly, the world is actually going off grid. The world is going off grid. So the structure of energy consumption or regime is such that people prefer disaggregated grid, off grid, parties, and mini grids, if at all grid. So we said we can't be talking of a federated grid in the 21st century. Then what are the options? Then the federal government thought they needed to engage consultants. There was no problem with that. That was what led to the attempt of Manitoba Hydro and the transmission service contract we had years ago. But because that agreement was killed against the Canadian and the Nigerian interests. We thought the agreement probably will suffer a natural death, and that happened. So Manitoba didn't achieve much. Then, more than almost a decade ago, the Siemens model came. Then we had to get Siemens to rework the national grid, enhance it, and of course, it used a lot of technological advancements in the national grid. Of course, I wasn't as optimistic because I knew certain challenges they might face and they're still facing. And then the miracle didn't come. And then we must acknowledge the fact that the government, of course, took the bull by the horns as soon as this current administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board. He visited Germany. I saw the concept of the German Chancellor and, of course, engaged the Siemens team because it's a German-based company on the need to accelerate the grid transformation. And I said, even in your studio, that I wasn't as optimistic because I knew, even despite the spirited effort of Mr. President, Siemens will still not be a success story. It's still not a success story a decade after. Why are we having all those challenges? We're having those challenges because we needed to have done a lot of things differently. Of course, the grid infrastructure is very weak. We have a lot of needless human involvement that ought to have been curtailed. We have cases of vandalism happening up north and northeast, northwest, and even at the national national conference or national power summit we went for the National Council on Power. These concerns were voiced that some criminal elements will go pack away expensive high-tension cables on the transmission infrastructure. And to fix those things are very expensive. So government, of course, has faced that challenge. And if you look at the power sector as a chain, because it's not to be looked at as an isolated structure. It's a chain. The weakest end is the distribution. So let's look at the consumer. The consumers are still faced with a lot of challenges. We are still talking of meter bypass, inadequacy of meters, prepaid meters. Federal government says meters should be free. The operators, the players said, oh, they have to pay the total. We have a lot of intervention challenges in that regard. World Bank assisted meter project, map from company. We have all kinds of inconsistencies in terms of our meter regime, and customers are still not happy. So let's take that to the level of the discourse. The discourse are still challenged. They are challenged because of the structure they left on ground and the debt overhang that has refused to go in the power sector. So there's a challenge, a restraint as to the extent to which the discourse will go. They are incapacitated financially. 90% of them are technically insolvent. One even just got acquired by a new player. So majority of them are under receivership or one form of receiver money, that kind of thing. So they think struggling with effective recovery, cost recovery, cost-effective tariff, that Nigerians are not happy. A whole lot of this, even at the level of the disco. So the discourse are challenged. Then let's look at the GENCOs. Of course, GENCO, of course, is seriously challenged because they've not been able to pay adequately for the gas, and they're exposed to the tune of 4 trillion. Arguably, I disagree with the figure, arguably. So they are not really encouraged to keep generating those megawatts. So the industry is not looking. And the government, on the part of the government now, before we go to regulation, government is also challenged. Last year, it was reported by NERC that government has spent 2 trillion by way of structured subsidy in the power sector. If you put 2 trillion in subsidy in 1 year, you put 4 trillion in debt to the disco, to the GENCOs. I look at other challenges, though inappropriate pricing of gas, because gas is a internationally complicated product. They're not going to expect gas producers to produce those gas and sell at a loss. So they would rather sell it at international rate, rate, and make a lot of money, as against complying with their domestic gas obligation to give gas to the gencos to supply electricity at a concession rate. The business people don't do that. So we have that challenge. And then the regulatory environment is also weak. So what do we have? The way out is to start a gradual backing up from the federated grid. And the federating states are not even doing what they ought to do. 2 years down the line, after the new regime under the Electricity Act 2023, we've not seen serious activities on the part of the state. The subnationals have not done sufficiently well. A few have started to take steps until we back up from the federated grid. And states now begin to deploy their competitive advantages, then we'll free up the tension and the stress and the burden on the national grid. We're not going to get anywhere. And that's why in homes and offices, Nigerians are the ones procuring transformers. Communities are the ones contributing money to buy electric poles. Nigerians are the ones paying for meters, which these are assets of the discourse. And we have a lot of challenges in the sector that, of course, gradually we'll deal with them. And the boss should stop at the level of the managers, actually. The policy implementers, we need to do the needful, put their feet down, and knock when they need to knock. I think we need an aggressive regime. Let me liken the challenges we're having in the power sector to the Soludo model. As a young professional, I was fascinated by the vision of the then Dr. Professor Soludo as his economic advisor, later CBN governor. He looked at the future of the Nigerian banking system and said, there's no future here. The banks are collapsing. We have mushroom banks owned by an individual and his family, and you don't have loans to questionable personalities. Soludo now said Nigerian banks are what they needed to capitalize to the tune of 25 billion naira then. It seems a lot of money. Some banks collapsed, some merged, some went under. Today, with the foresight, commendable foresight of now Governor Soludo, President, the CBN governor, Nigerian banks capitalized to the tune of 25 billion naira. 2 years after, Nigerian banks are now buying up banks in other African countries. The Nigerian banks are now competing in the international space. Nigerian banks are now in London, they are in the US, they are everywhere. Now, banks are now declaring trillion naira profit after tax. And Nigerian banks now are now saying, the new regulators now say, oh, Nigerian banks, you still need to further capitalize to the tune of 200 billion. Banks that struggle with 25 billion. That was foresight. That was management. That was governance. That stimulated growth in the Nigerian financial sector, and we are happier for it as a nation. The same thing ought to happen in the power sector. It takes the foresight of a good manager to chart. President is not going to sit on the driver's side in every sector. He's going to put a Nigerian there to drive things and make life better for us. We have the law, unless and until we break lightning and purpose into the electricity law and regulatory structure. Honestly, we're not going to be there. We'll keep taking 2 steps forward and maybe 3 or 4 backwards. Let me pause for now.
Really, I'm sure every Nigerian is looking forward to a better power supply in the country. You mentioned something while you were talking about consumers having to buy the poles, having to buy the wires, having to buy the transformers. We are going to come back to that, because what is in it for these communities who buy all of these things? But let me come to the studio, Mr. Umar. He had mentioned that one of the things that we can do to have steady power supply is for us to step away from this federated grid. Do you think many states would be ready or have the capacity? I know Enugu, I think, is trying to do something in that line. Abia, I think Lagos State also has something in that line. Would you say states should step up to this?
So you know, the issue is, you call the issue at a very high level. You know, when we talk about decentralizing or everybody's managing its grid, a lot of people understand different compared to what the industry professional understand. Now there is something, the grid is connected. it's providing electricity to the entire country. So what the electricity law has done is that to allow those states to regulate electricity at their own respective location, irrespective of where you are. But the law did not try to say, you know, the existing grid should be bifurcated or to be, you know, decentralized for each state. It means that Bayelsa State can still be generating electricity while maybe Kano State will, you know, be using the power generated there. So what maybe Bayelsa and other state will do is just to manage the activities of the electricity within that state around distribution. But the law also allows them, if you have the capacity to bring additional generation within your state, you can be able to do that. But the issue is that the main grid that is supplying the entire country, which is what we currently use, I believe that a lot of people share sentiment regarding that it's not supposed to be, you know, decentralized. It means that you better have one source of supply that is providing energy to all people. Reason being is that it gives you economies of scale. One, it makes the price reasonably affordable to people, and then it ensures security of supply. What it means is that when you have electricity that is being generated in the country and being shared, you will not have challenge. If one state is not generating or they have challenge, they can redirect that energy to another person. But when you decide to say you want to make the grid to be independent of each state, you are going to have challenge in the sense that what happens if your system has crashed? It means that nobody will be able to supply you electricity until you have fixed that. So one of the disadvantages of the current system we have is the grid collapse issue that we are now discussing, which is something that I believe it's avoidable, and that's what they are working on. But when you separate the grid, into each and every state, the number one challenge you will have is the money, is the price. The pricing is the major thing. And in as much as people want reliable electricity will not go without affordable pricing. But
I'm sure many Nigerians want to, yes, pay for what they get.
Yes.
And if you give them electricity
and get what they pay for,
and get what they pay for.
Yeah.
If you give them electricity constant, they don't want to go and buy petrol,
buy petrol or diesel,
or go and expend so much on solar, because not everyone would have the capacity to do that. Even though we'll come to the issue of whether we cannot, as a nation, also try to rely on alternative power supply.
So the issue is that we have to go all in together, or we fall apart. You know, there's a saying, they say, united we stand, and divided we fall. So if you divide, like say, everybody is now having his own solar, everybody has his own diesel generator, but when you compare the cost of your solar and diesel, you realize that the cost is a bit high compared to electricity. And the reason why people are going for that solar is not because they like the solar, it's because of reliability. To some people, of course, they just want reliable power. They don't actually mind the price, but that's a very bad issue. Sometimes, you know, people will say they want reliable power. So when the reliable power comes at a high cost, they tend to take a step back and decide to say that they don't want. We have seen the case of this Band A. It's at 200. A lot of people, you know, are complaining that they can't afford it.
Some people will tell you even under Band A,
it's
they
cheaper.
Still don't have the power.
Don't have the power. So thank you. So another example I want to give is that there are a lot of estates in this Lagos that are having different arrangement with the grid, whereby they have constant power. If the grid is off, their supplier will, you know, use alternative generator to provide them. But oftentimes, tariff used to go up to 400 per kilowatt hour. So that is Lagos in a place whereby there is high economic activities compared to other places. So if really it can go to 400 and a lot of people will, reject that arrangement and say, no, it's too high, then that's the challenge. And then the issue of that solar is that, and this diesel, it's the people that can afford the current Band A pricing that are moving to that solar, which means it's your biggest customers, the people with the big pocket. They are the one moving away from the grid, allowing those people that do not have any alternative. A lot of people now in Nigerian homes that without solar is because they can't afford the solar. That is why they are left with no option, you know, than to use the grid. And that means if we did not solve the grid issue and get power, we may end up in a society whereby there are people with electricity because they can afford, and then there are people without electricity because they cannot afford.
Right.
So
Right.
that's
Professor, if we can come back to you, earlier we talked about, shortly before you joined, we talked about, comparisons between Nigeria and other countries and how we operate our central supply of power, or decentralized supply of power, if we can put it that way. What do you think Nigeria should be doing better? We know that we've had this infrastructure that we call national grid for decades, and that's what we've been improving upon, and every time something happens, they replace parts, they do this, they do that. But, is there no better way to operate a national grid than the structure that we have on ground? Prof.
Thank you. I did not take a check date. Quite frankly, for more than 50 years, your studio, the as said, Chimba, that's it. Back to the future. Ourselves. Gradually, we were able to push the narrative up on this level, where we have a decentralized structure. And that is the way to go. And the tips are how most of the things we expected to happen. I even mentioned that we're going to have a decentralized regime, because that was what the old constitution said, unamended, actually decentralized our sector. Or the old electric power reform has centralized it, and I said that was wrong. That was a mismatch, contravening. So I to point it out that states will start to have something like Lagos State Electricity Regulatory Commission, Ogun State Electricity Regulatory Commission. These are speculations. Current State Electricity Regulatory Commission. These are speculations of about 15 years. They are up there in your YouTube and elsewhere. So it's something, and that is certainly a situation in which, if you don't have electricity in Lagos, for example, the people living in Bash will be in darkness is antithetical. It doesn't make sense in any jurisdiction. If there's no electricity in your then Ogun should be in darkness. States should develop based on that competitive advantage. That's the model as well. If there's no in New York, it shouldn't affect Washington. If there's no light in Ontario, Quebec may be running on 24 hours. The progress or success of one state should not stall the other. States should develop at their own pace. States should develop based on the competence, sincerity, the governance pattern of the governor in charge. So if you want your state to develop, you are going to make your state bankable to attract foreign investors in the power sector. If your state honors construction firm, if to procure land in your state is transparent and easy, if to do business in your state is easy, there are no underhand, undercourt dealings in your state. If your state is strong, competently, effectively, sincerely, invest against in the power, invest in other sector of your state. States should develop at their own. States should develop based on their competitive advantage in the power, energy, rail, other aspects of the state. So the progress of one state should not stop the other. That's the essence of federation. That said, a situation in which we have a centrality, the one we had recently was because of the triggering effect in Gombe, on one of the traders in Gombe. The entire country got shut down. That was something that affected Gombe and affected the whole country. That was something that affected them in Niger, in Gombe, in Bauchi, in Bayelsa, in Rivers. No modern day development. So we can definitely continue with that, because grids will continue to collapse. Sometimes in your studio, we will sit and speculate grids will collapse 20 times. We will have 19 or 21. It got to a level I was almost called prophet of doom, because we are predicting the frequency of grid collapses with almost mathematical accuracy. This year, I'm worried that from 2023, with the coming on board of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the signing of the Electricity Act, we started seeing a gradual decline. And the decline continued up until last year, even my brother then the should mention it. But in January, just last 2 days in December, January, we had 3 collapses. It means if you were having 2, 3 collapses per month, that's going to take us to the realm of 20, 30 collapses, great collapses. And I'm worried because I know the government is done in law to reduce the structure with the law and other steps taken. For instance, we've been able to explicate the function of transmission company of Nigeria from that of the system operator. That was why the Electricity Act provides for NISO, Nigeria Independent System Operator. That is the body in charge of load scheduling and transmission management and what have you. But with NISO, almost 2 years of NISO now, we haven't seen a major sharp departure. I know they are trying to find their feet and their bearings because it is a new body. But we can't go the way of this definitely, because the world has since moved away from that. People now look at isolated grids, regional grids, mini grids, completely off grids, mobile grids, and technology is responding. 1. 2, we haven't sufficiently deployed technology for the purpose of grid management. And that was what the Manitoba people and the cement people are supposed to be pushing into our structure. For instance, right there in my office, the countries monitor their transmission infrastructure based on drones, using drones. And they deploy artificial intelligence to aid that monitoring. You will have, if something were to happen tomorrow, the national grid of the particular segment of the grid infrastructure, you will have seen a kind of beats. They call it early warning signs. That something going to happen in my. You quickly go and deal with it. You see early warning signs in Gobe, you deal with it. But again, we are just responding to collapses. If I collapse before we respond, it's not done. And because we need modern day technology to manage the grid, while stimulating gradual disembarkment from the dilapidated national grid. National grid is like petroleum pipelines laid several years ago. Any attempt to put petroleum product in a dilapidated weak pipeline, the pipeline bursts. The same thing with the national grid. We have generated more than the 4,005 thereabout that we keep managing our share. But we couldn't put those on the national grid because the capacity of Nigeria's national grid as we speak is weak. Not about additional megawatt that is generated. That's why we have from the IPPs standard and come national. So unless we now start to structure those new megawatt or through structured grid, state-based grid, regional grid, then we will have effectiveness. If we continue, whatever triggers negatively in any state will continue to affect the entire of the country, and that's definitely not the way to go.
And I think Tola is agreeing with you. He sent in a message saying that he believes that the centralized system will work better, that we are doing it now with Benin and Togo. Same energy, same strategy can work for the states. Let's stop confusing uniformity with unity. And from Feyi Sheton is saying something about Benin Electricity Distribution Company. It says that they keep the residents of Ogwashuku town in Aniocha South local government area of Delta State on estimated bills for powers not consumed. So we contribute money for transformers, poles and wires, yet we still give estimated billing. You know, earlier I said that we're going to come back to the issue of buying electricity poles, wires, transformers, and I'm happy you are a lawyer in that in that field, and SAN for that matter. So tell us, as consumers, what is our rights when we buy the transformers, when we buy the poles, we buy the electricity wires? Is there something that protects us or gives us back, you know, from what we have contributed?
Definitely, we have laws that protect consumers. We have expensive laws. There are bundles of laws that protect consumers, particularly electricity rights. There's a publication I did from electricity consumer rights, or right of electricity consumers. There's a body of law in that regard. But Nigerians are not significantly aware of their rights. You can't blame is discussed because business people know who they are. They will take undue advantage of the vulnerability of Nigerians for lack of information. But let me give you this example. I wasn't happy when the person did. That's why I always say each time I have the opportunity. A friend, knowing my position, called me. He said they had a problem in the community. They had contributed about 20 million naira to buy a transformer. After contributing to self-levy to get the transformer, they now needed to energize it. So they had to approach a disco. Transformers, poles, and others are assets of the discos naturally. Discos are the only entities confirmed with legal right to take electricity from one point to the other. That's their duty, that's their right. Nobody can do that because unless you have access to distribute, you can't take electricity from one to the other. That's why those assets will continue to be there. It is the responsibility of to supply metal, transformers, cables, transformer oil, and what have you. That's it. So this my friend said they approached a disco, and the disco said, yes, they appreciate the fact that they have to procure that transformer, but they cannot do anything on it because it's in the name of the community, and that unless the community transferred that transformer to them voluntarily, and they had to write to the I wish I saw. Saying we social community, this, we don't take this, this, for people not to insist on our right, it's not our home, we have. No, you understand? They give them a template.
So a disco, who is going to charge them for giving passing electricity into their...
So they had to write a letter to the disco, donating the transformer to the disco. After that, they now approach the disco. Now we don't want to pass us to I energize the transformer for us. That took months. And they now say, okay, before they can come and energize, they have to contribute 12 million naira. I was so upset. But I couldn't beg them to take support. I wanted to sue the particular disco because of the information we have. But we have to keep this advocacy. If all is not well, that you have to buy food, and this goes to come and better. So what this goes to go to subsidize electricity to the fossil trailer. This goes to also under remit to the gencos. And the cycle of nonsense.
So, Prof, are we're at the mercy of these distribution companies? So because we need electricity in our areas, and if it's supposed to be their asset, as you have said, then they should provide it because they are going to charge us for that service. And now, I'm sure a lot of people watching, or some people watching in their areas would attest to this. You buy all of these things, and then it's time to repair it. They can't even repair it for you. You have to bring money, as you have said, bring money. What can we do as consumers? That's the part of it that I'm really interested in.
Honestly, we are not at the mercy of the discourse, if I must be honest with you. We are at the mercy of the regulators. We are at the mercy of the governance structure. We are at the mercy of those who ought to wield the discourse in line. These discourses, as I said, they are traditionally constrained. Once you privatize, the job of government is to bring on board effective, competence-based, solid governance, independent governance, regulation. I just get the example of Solito. Continue to be my man forever, because what is happening in the banking sector? When I was a young lawyer, I was involved in a lot of mergers and consolidation of those, and I saw things. And then people are talking now, nobody is giving the glory to Governor Soludo when he was still governor, when he made these Nigerian banks to become multi-trillionaires. The same thing ought to happen in this. It's a question of who is in charge. These codes are licensed entities. They are under a regulator. They are responsible to a regulator. All these things are not made. Nigerians have been stating the discourse are aware. The regulators are aware. The regulators are not said, and I will repeat it. I know the challenges the discourse are facing. And I've said, if you, I don't know when, I think about 14 years ago, Kimberly, Markware, and I think Sulaiman myself were in the studio. And I said repeatedly that unless we go for another round of reacquisition and financing in the power sector, we'll continue to struggle. Yeah. We are still struggling. Yeah. Because the discourse were not supposed to be, I mean, the kind of partners that are there in the discourse were not supposed to be inside. Those who initially got those entities were only able to raise money for purpose of acquiring those assets. We call it acquisition financing. When they acquired it, they quickly bought those assets. That's the money to take it further. That's why they have not been able to invest massively to be able to do all those things that Nigerians are doing for them in terms of being able to supply transformers, poles, cables, meters for people. Because they need to get on board more customers. And Nigerians are that's why Nigerians will continue to cut corners. Cut corners because they also need to manage their own costs. That's why you continue to incident of meter bypass. If you continue to bypass, this will continue to be a problem in terms of their financial position. The system is multifaceted. And we are aware of this, and we've been talking about it for almost 2 decades now. The response level has been slow, but we never stop talking because Nigeria belongs to us.
Certainly, Prof. We'll never stop talking about it. If you can weigh in on some of this, I know you've been listening and nodding your head. What do you think about consumer rights when it comes to electricity consumption? Yeah,
I agree. I agree with what Prof has said, and almost. This is one of the core areas that the new law is trying to address. Consumers are not supposed to buy their meters, repair transformers and other things. But, before this, the current structure, the existing structure before this new one, stretched the regulator, which is the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission. They have to provide forum offices in every state of the country, whereby consumers go there if they have issues. But now, with the recent law, this is one of the key areas that a lot of people are looking forward to, because if maybe one disco in Lagos here did not provide you proper service, you are taking them to regulator from Lagos State in Lagos. So Lagos State might decide to have maybe 10 different forum offices for regulating, the electricity distribution companies. So if you buy transformer or if you report they did not do it, you take it to the disco to the office, which is a bit more closer compared to when you take issue to the national regulator, which is the NEC. But now Lagos State has its own regulator, different state, Enugu and all of other states. So it makes it easier. This law provides that avenue for customers to just, feel hard. And the people in that regulatory agency, they are people in that state. They already know the existing challenges, and they will act more faster compared to when it is regulatory, the federal and the regulator. So this is one of the areas that I believe that the law will provide, a solution to that. And it just remains for the governors to ensure that such kind of mechanism is in place. But consumer protection is one of such areas that I believe is good. And another point that I had Prof has made regarding the the issue, like recent collapse that happened in Gombe. It started in Gombe based on the information provided by the NISO, and then issue started in Gombe, and then suddenly in Ogun State, Lagos State, you know, you do not have power, you know, and one of the importance of the law is to allow state to also develop. But when we say that you know, each and every state should develop at their own pace, it's more like, you know, it's a fiscal federalism issue, and then you tend to look at what of the other countries. Is it possible like that? You will see that in each and every country there is one or two states that have more economic power compared to other states, which is providing support to some other states. So I still believe that unless we have reached a level whereby we have stable power, that's when I think states should be able to take up their own 100% issues.
Okay. There's a message that is coming in from one of our viewers in Igbobo in Ikorodu here. You know, when it comes to this electricity matter, a lot of Nigerians are interested. So the Ibelefun Morekete community, they say they have purchased a 500 kilowatt transformer. They've bought the high tension poles and ready to be energized by Ikeja Electric Distribution Company. And they have not come.
Since October 2024.
Since October
2024, not 2025.
So I think, as Prof had said, the regulators, because I had said that these discos, that they are holding us to ransom. But he said the regulators, and I want to plead with the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission to please, this part of it, yes, we know we are grappling with trying to have stable power supply, but this part of it where residents or consumers have to buy transformers, poles, and all of that, please come out and tell us what our rights are, and let us know what the discos are entitled to, so that if we buy all of these things, we are able to say, okay, how do you now reimburse us? Because it is a business, whether you like it or not.
You know, not to cut you short, summarily two things. First is that the national regulator used a lot of campaign in the previous time. I saw it, they put it on TV, on media. They keep saying that consumers are not supposed to buy that particular thing. And secondly, most times with my experience, most people that buy transformers, cables and other things, they relate directly with the management of those discos. They write later. Sometimes they even have agreement on when the discos will be able to refund that amount, because that's a huge investment.
I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that.
So because you can imagine a community spending transformers and cable can take up to 50 million or more. So you can't just spend that money. So
and
most
even
of the community,
installation, that's the part of it. So you've bought all of this. For the disco to come and install it, you still have to pay.
So even if you paid, sometimes before they install it, you have to ensure there's a written agreement on how you recover your money. Either they will not bill the community or any other thing. Sometimes that negotiation is what is creating some fracas.
They will hold us to the jugular.
Well, we must
please come
to our rescue.
Come and tell us, you know, and let all of the discos, dencos, the consumers know their rights. And where this stops and where this starts.
Yes, certainly. Right. We must thank you, gentlemen, for being a part of the show this morning and for discussing this this discussion that never ends, really, I must say. Abubakar Umar, power sector analyst, who was here with us in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us. And we had virtually Yemioke, senior advocate of Nigeria, was Professor Yemioke, really, senior advocate of Nigeria and professor of energy and electricity law. Thank you so much for joining us on the program again today.
Thanks,
Yes, we'll be back in a moment, and this time we'll talk about security. To stay with us on Sunrise.
Welcome back to Sunrise. Before we delve into our conversation on security, we have a big guest with us in the studios today. For our viewers on DSTV, we're crossing over for a live coverage for the 29th and 30th combined convocation of the Modibo Adama University in Yola, Adamawa State. But Sunrise continues on all our other platforms, as you well know, including our YouTube platform. So please join and continue to watch and enjoy. So,
yes,
the big fish is
indeed,
here.
Indeed, we have the Commissioner of Police here in Lagos, Mr. Olorundare Jimoh. There's been a lot of protests over demolitions in waterfront. Let's say thank you for coming on the show. There's been a lot of protests, particularly from those places, areas where demolitions have happened in Oworoshoki, Owode Oniri, and more recently the Makoko area. There's been a lot of allegations as to police brutality and not working in the confines of the law that they're supposed to uphold. So let's talk about policing in these particular instances. Makoko, that is the latest.
Thank you so much. Start, first of all, I want to appreciate you for giving us the opportunity to come and say our own side of the story, and for people to know what are the police involvement and police action in the whole episode. We have the responsibility under the law, which is one of the first duties, the protection of life and property. Equally, to protect public spaces, to ensure that we protect government facility, and equally personal facility. And we will continue to do this in all regard. I shouldn't be tired of saying this, that protest, expression of our opinion, of our interest, freedom of speech, all are essentials of democracy, which all Nigeria are entitled to. So we police several protests in Lagos, hundreds of protests. People come out to come and say their view, to go to the House of Assembly. We police them from their point to the House of Assembly. And I want to likely say that the issue of Makoko is not new. It has been on for like 5 years now. And we've been giving them security as a protest. Equally of note is that even those who are there, they know us by name. They know the area commander, they know the DPO, they know me, because these are people that we've been with. They go to the House of Assembly and they hear them out. Equally, the people of Oworoshoki, they equally know us. Some of them have put a lot of their concern into writing officially. When they come and say, okay, put it into writing, send it to appropriate quarter. If you know you are not too sure, bring it to us, we'll help you to deliver it. And they'll be doing so. Then, in the case of Oworoshoki, I'm not a spokesperson for the Lagos State government. I represent the Nigerian Police Force and my command, which the Inspector Police graciously posted me to be here. We learned and we know is on record. Major media houses cover it when government are paying their compensation. The only issues are possibly some people that felt they've not been captured in the compensation, and people that felt the compensation wasn't substantial enough to take care of them, and they put all those into writing. Then the Owode Oniri is a completely different episode on its own. The demolition that was carried out there was not done by government, which was done by land grabber, and which we stepped in when the crisis engulfed there, and intervened and ensure that peace is sustained. From the 27th of August, I've given them security to police the market, to ensure that they go about their trading and all their level activities peacefully without any land grabber coming to disturb them. So now coming to the recent one that happened on Wednesday, the group who are mischievous muster all these 3 sections with deception and move them to under bridge in the Ikeja. Equally of note that we know that even the CSOs that are following this group of hoodlums and miscreants that want to cause mayhem in Lagos State blindly, and they are joining the bandwagon. We want to educate them, to let them know that you don't go and withdraw children from school. This is an era where both the federal government and the state government, and even at the local level, are encouraging all Nigerians to be educated. You now go to conscript school children in their uniform to bring them to protest ground. It's against international norms and practices. And we impress it on them that no, you can't be, because the school children are tender and anything can happen to them. Even to walk the distance of about 6 kilometers from Ikeja under bridge to the House of Assembly can be so dangerous to them. And these are what they want to use, and which is not correct. There's no any human rights organization across the world that will allow school children in school uniform to be withdrawn out of school to come and protest. Then they carry coffin, which was equally recovered from them. So is that a preparation for a peaceful protest? And they brought in a lot of vehicles, including lorries and tankers, to block the public highways. For 6 hours, they blocked the entire of Awolowo Way into House of Assembly Road in Alausa, causing stampede and causing people to be scampering for safety, causing fear and panic and trauma in the people. We receive reports of people who are going to medical that couldn't be allowed, and quite a number of them fainted in their vehicle. And we have to be looking for ambulance to rescue these people out. Equally, people who are traveling out of the state and equally coming in were restricted access. This is not part of what is expected of international best practice for even CSOs that are going behind them. So we did all this. All what we did is in public safety and for public protection. So at the protest ground, because when I learned of this, that the entire place was locked up, I quickly used all the alternate way, because everywhere was locked up. It took me up to taking a route that would have taken like 2-3 kilometers. To get there, it took me 30 minutes. I was there at the House of Assembly before they even arrived. And if you see some shots that were taken by media, the general media were there. When I was talking to them, that look, everything should be peaceful. They said they want the member of the House of Assembly to come and say, fine, the House of Assembly is in recess, but I will reach to the leadership of the House of Assembly. And I did so. And they sent 5 honorable members to come and talk to them. So after talking to them, they still insist that they want to enter into the House of Assembly. And we have intelligence reports that some of them are even armed with rifles. People can come on the pretext of peaceful protest and be wearing something, and something else is between them. So I said, no, you cannot enter the House of Assembly. Is it the building you want to talk to, or the people that have come out to you who occupy the building and who has promised that they will take your matter to the highest authority for your matter to be handled? And you don't cry more than the bereaved. There's what they call in law a local standing. All the Taiwo Hassan that was arrested and the Daily Frank that were arrested, they were arrested inside the truck they used to block the public highway. And we've charged them, we've arraigned them in court for that offense. The proceeding goes on. So you don't live in Oworo, Soki. You don't live in Mokoko. You don't live and trade in Owode-Enirin. I was in Owode-Enirin yesterday. Your television station covered it. And I believe the news will come out for people to see. I was received with a rousing welcome by virtually all of them, because they know that when the incident happened in August 27, I quickly moved in and restore law and order and ensure that every police officer and the land grabber that were involved are under investigation and will be prosecuted, because the IGP, Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adeolu Egbetokun, PhD, Nigerian Police Medal, have directed I should bring all the policemen that the land grabber brought in from Nasarawa, not even my own police, or under my control. So they were taken to Abuja and they were thoroughly investigated. And they were returned, the 5 of them were returned back to us for internal proceeding that we are going to do a room trial. The room trial had been completed yesterday and they've been dismissed from the force. And they will be prosecuted along with this land grabber.
Right.
So their own case is entirely different. So when they met me at the protest ground, they now discovered that the Soweto, the one they call Soweto, who is the arrowhead, and the what they call it, Daily Frank, have misled them. I said, no, Commissioner, we are sorry. And they pulled back. But because they have their own intention to go and cause mayhem and destruction and damage to the asset of the assembly, they keep on surging forward. And that is the reason why we have to employ the use of minimum force, of tear gas. Tear gas is universal. It's not only in Nigeria. Across the world, where there are violent protests, you have to disperse them with minimal force. And that is what we do, to restore law and order.
Yeah, so, you said a lot. One of the things I wanted to ask you was how, you can, with all the things that you're doing, to build public trust, for people to trust that, okay, when these things happen and the police come in, they have truly come to help us, or they've come to disperse us. People believe that when police come in, they've come to prevent us from exercising our constitutional rights, which is, protest. And you've described some of these things as violent crime. So, you know, how would you, is there going to be like a post operation report to show Nigerians, or even in Lagos State, to show that, okay, this is what we're able to do, and this is what we carried out, these are the investigations that are ongoing, and, you know, to promote accountability and transparency in these rather sensitive matters that the police has been called in to, you know, try and maintain law and order?
Thank you so much. I think the record is there for everybody to verify. For others that I've mentioned, I'll respond to it. The NLC, national and at state level across the country, protested about 2 or so weeks ago, and we give them enough security to ensure that hoodlum doesn't take over the protest. These are well-organized groups. Other, like I mentioned earlier on, the Mokoko people have been to the House of Assembly several times, and we have protected them, both going and coming back. The Owuronsoki people too have been there severally. We police them going and coming back. And part of what they said in Owodo yesterday is that they were misled, because they have been going to House of Assembly and they have been received honorably by House member. And we've been giving security to everybody. Even as we speak, if there's anybody that wants to go out to engage in peaceful protests, not calling people to anarchy, we'll still protect them. That is our responsibility. If we don't do that, what is expected of us? But I learned on page, I read it in the media, that the Soweto was claiming that he was brutalized, he was beaten. He has not reported that to any police station, even at the level when he was in Planty. But since we left it from the media, we won't leave it lying low. We'll still investigate it to know what has happened. But I want to make it abundantly clear that I'm not part, as a commissioner of police in Lagos State, to brutalize Soweto. For what? What will I gain in doing so? So, and when it was taken to court, it to ensure that the court is an open place for even the members of the public to go and witness the proceeding that is going on, and to ensure that our hands are clean. And we took him to court within less than 24 hours when he was arrested. So, going forward, we are very transparent in everything we do. And on a regular basis, we meet with the CSOs to let us know, oh, what are your takes? This is our takes. And we agree on middle ground. And everything went peacefully. Mind you, within last year, we have the June 12th celebration. And so people decided to protest. Nothing goes wrong. The 1st October celebration even came while people are celebrating the independence. So people choose to want to protest. They were equally protected. For every protest, we want to assure them that the entire of Lagos will ensure security for every protester. But we will not allow you, because where your right stop is where other people's begin. You can't use your own right to protest to block the entire of Lagos, which they have been doing in the past. And equally, this same Taiwo Hassan is still the same arrowhead that went and blocked the Tomiland Bridge early in the year, in the forms that Oworo people are coming out to protest. You don't block such an infrastructure, because the Tomiland Bridge is not meant to carry a stationary weight. Bridge across the world are not meant to carry stationary weight. They are to carry moving weight. So when you now trap thousands of people on the Tomiland Bridge because of your own interests, which are being listened to by the government, and those people in Oworo are being compensated. So what do you gain from that? You don't gain popularity from infringing punishment, from infringing trauma, from inflicting pain on generality of the people. The channel television is here. Leave protest. If there's a single accident on this Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, just for 15 minutes, you can see the gridlock that will enter the entire city of Lagos. The same thing with this protest. The moment you block any route within the center of Lagos, which is Awolowo Way. Awolowo Way connects everybody to the airport, going to Alausa, coming into Ikeja, getting into Ojota. It's like a nucleus road, and people were head across this place for 6 hours. And that have been their stock in trade. That's what they have been doing. So it's wrong. It's wrong. So until when we now come to town, more especially the CSOs and the other NGO, that are supporting the wrong thing. They should be educated. They should go and look at what is in the status of the Nigerian law. What is stated in the, nothing is an offense except what the law stated to be an offense. And ignorance of the law is not an offense. So instead of parading long certificate of I have BS, I have PhD, I have this, what do you have as enlightenment? What do you have your education of what is obtainable? And you keep on abusing and accusing the police. We used tear gas, which is the minimum force that we can use.
Because I was going
to
that part of it. You had mentioned that the CSOs followed miscreants. A couple of those people who were at that protest are people that are well known and who, at least on the surface, they are calm and calculated. Yemi Adamolekun is one of them, and she was on one of our programs, and she said, you know, what the policemen did that day, or what the police did, is way beyond what was on ground, because they were not disruptive, they were not violent, and the police had to use tear gas. And tear gas, yes, it may be minimal force for police. The effect on people would range, you know, differently. So what else could the police have done, since, from what she said, that they were not disruptive? What else could the police have done to address the situation?
Thank you so much. When people surge in numbers like 500, 1,000, they are not profiles. You don't know who, if it is Yemi Adamolekun, who I have a lot of respect for, whom I've known since around 2017 to 18, when issue of protests were there, she'll come to us. People like her are decent people. People like her are organized set of people. If Yemi Adamolekun is leading any protest today, we all embrace her because we know she's quite familiar with what is obtainable. And whatsoever people she's going to bring are people that are credible, that we can trust.
But she said she was there too.
No, she came later. She met me at the scene. She met me at the scene. And even people that were arrested by the police, and she came to identify them to me. I asked the police to release them. She can bear me witness to this anytime she has the opportunity for you to draw her back. She identified about 2, 3 people. I said, no, these are people who, even despite that they have taken shots or whatsoever that happened, that have their camera, they are working for some NGO media outfit, were released promptly without being taken out of the place. I said they should be released. So for her also, everybody want to impress whichever organization they are working for outside this nation. But the safety of the country and the safety of all Lagosians and generality of Nigeria is very important, and it is paramount. But for Taiwo Hassan, who went to block the Third Mainland Bridge and cause mayhem, and still come out to lead such a protest and bring in, apart from all those 3 groups that I mentioned that were deceiving to the protest, there are quite a number of hoodlums and miscreants that were in there, and which they cannot guarantee. If they have spoken with you, the House members have spoken with you, 5 of them in number, I think that should suffice for you to know that, oh, you've been heard. Then you now wait if there's going to be follow-up action, if they agree to what you have said, or they communicated you. But for you to insist that you must enter the House of Assembly after they have talked to you, and you keep on surging. If you look at the most of the recording, you see where they are pushing my policemen. And I see instruct that they should exercise restraint. Even from the protest ground down to the place, we were humiliated, we were abused. I personally was abused by Taiwo Hassan of being a murderer, of vomiting blood, of blood in my mouth, abusing the DPO Alausa, whose jurisdiction is the House of Assembly, of being a barren, and was saying that this woman, Ishabiama, she's a barren. And we still restrain ourselves because we don't react to emotion. We've been trained to work under pressure, and to work under pressure of such, we shouldn't go into. But it is when they were now going to pull down the security of House of Assembly by surging in large number, because it would have been a regrettable thing if they had been able to gain access into the House of Assembly. So before, I won't know when you are going to tell me to stop, but before I stop, I want Nigerians watching us to know that I've not at any time participated in the beating of Taiwo Hassan or instructed any police personnel to either personally or my personnel. So whatsoever is saying, since we are in court, you can equally make that further evidence in court, and we'll answer to it. And I equally want to make it abundantly clear that if any senior advocate of Nigeria is going to a lower court to intimidate the court, I will not stop at that. I will ensure that myself, as the Commissioner of Police, I mobilize all my senior officers to enter the same court as a friend of the court, so that we can have it on the same level. Because if somebody is alleged of a very serious offense, causing disturbance of public peace, engaging in an act that can shut down the entire of Lagos and causing entire mayhem in the whole area, and a senior advocate will go to that court and will now be saying, if the person is granted bail and he cannot meet the bail condition, that he is going to take the person on personal grant and will be able to bring him back, then I too have the responsibility, because that has intimidation to the court. I have to have the responsibility to mobilize all my senior officers to be led by myself and go to the same court in a civil way and as a friend of the court. So, but we want to say, we have a case that can stand the test of trial against Taiwo Hassan and Dele Frank, and we are going to pursue to logical conclusion. Apart from the covering that we recover, we equally recover a Toyota Canter truck that they use in blocking the major.
So this is, of course, this is already in court, and everyone will have their days in court. But how do you, whether you like it or not, Joke mentioned earlier about public trust. How do you build this trust so that when people see policemen, they are assured that, yes, they are not for a particular person, as our former president said, I'm not for one person, I'm for everyone. I'm for everyone, I'm not for one. How will they trust that the Nigerian police, is working according to the statutes and laws and the best standards, that you can find anywhere around the world?
Thank you so much. For over the years, we have been working in line with international best practices of policing, and even the common people know that the police is the first respondent.
Sir, that's if you say over the years, because whether you like it or not, when someone sees a policeman...
Let me say something.
Okay.
There is this issue of hearsay. Something that has not happened to us personally. You say because CP Jimo say this, or one Mr. Anthony John say...
Since you have said, sorry sir, since you have said something about personal, I will tell you one personal story. Okay, sir.
I wish you allow me to.
Go ahead, because we have limited time,
yes,
that's why.
So you carry over ESAs, but we have continually trained our officers to let them know that you don't work on emotions. You don't react on sentiment. You react based on the law. You can imagine if we are using even rubber bullets, because people will say, you said tear gas is the minima. Tear gas is the minima because we still have rubber bullets. The rubber bullet can be used. It doesn't kill. But no gunshot was fired. No rubber bullet was fired. Some people are saying, why don't you use water cannon? The water cannon will come after tear gas because water cannon is extremely hot water. If you are in your bedroom and you are bathing with hot water, you can know hot water is coming and shed away your eye. Nobody baths in the bedroom and open your eye to hot water. And when this extremely hot water surge out of the water cannon, it can meet you anywhere. It can bleach your skin. It can get you deaf. It can even blind you. So that is why we don't use that. The effect of tear gas or smoke within 5 to 10 minutes is gone. But because when you now prepare for violence, because like I keep on saying, when you bring coffin to protest ground, who do you want to kill and bury inside that coffin?
Okay, rebuilding trust.
So now, in building the trust of the people have always trust us. If some group of people, maybe some just individual that can have access to radio and television, are the one that are saying that, no, we don't trust what the police is saying, because you are now using what you are getting internationally as funding for your CSO, for your NGO, to justify even when we are doing the best that we can't. When people will be pointing hand on our faces on protest ground, when people will even be pushing the policemen back, nobody says that. So, and police officers too, we have rights under the law. We have rights under the Constitution. We equally have family, equally to protest. But we leave all those to ensure the safety of all. But above all, the safety and the protections of the generality of the people is the public interest that supervises any group or sectional interest. So I want to encourage
everything.
Yes, I want to encourage the CSOs. We are not against them. They've been meeting with us. They are known face. But if you want to go on such a protest, you don't allow hoodlum like Tawo Hassan that have gone to block the that blocked to do the terminal bridge.
If you call him hoodlum, maybe you guys will settle that in the court. But sir, I have two questions before we go. The first one is, I don't know how it works, and that's why I'm asking this question. In the evening, when you're going coming into Lagos, you find a police checkpoint at Berger. I don't know if that is okay at that time of the night, as in, like, more than half of the road is blocked, and you find a long line of vehicles, the policemen, saying they are checking who is coming in. Is that fine? Are they supposed to be there at that time?
Thank you so much. Those are the part of the new introduction I did when I came into Lagos, the establishment of the Eco Strike Force. And they were deployed inward and outward Berger. And if you move little down, after Laos area to the old toll gate, you still see a tactical squad there. And that is why you see zero crime in Lagos, because they are to ensure that we prevent crime at that point. Because this stop and search point is one of the crime prevention and control strategies I adopted. And it has been working for us. And that is why during Christmas, you record zero crime. You are living in Lagos, you know that. During the New Year, zero crime. During the Ayo festival, zero crime. During the 30th
so they are
December,
supposed to be there to check people that are coming in.
Yes, and we have arrested, including foreigners that are trying to infiltrate Lagos to come and cause. When I mean this is public television, I mean people who are being what we call when they transport people against their will. Like child trafficking, human trafficking, and other, have been intercepted at that point. Quite a number of suspects who want to come from the neighboring state to commit crime in Lagos were arrested. Quite a number of firearms and ammunition have equally been recovered at that point. So the purpose at that point in time is to ensure the safety of all Lagosians.
Okay, so that's settled that they are rightfully there. But I will also just say that maybe there should be another team or some supervisors, some inspectors who are plain-clothed, so that when they can come and see some of the things that happen at that time. That is that's from me to you as a Lagosian.
Yes, for every of your answer, of your question, I have an answer. You know that point is shared between what we call Area Commander Ikeja and Area Commander Ojodu. That's Ogudu, rather. And these two, Ogudu.
Ojodu, because it's closer to this side.
There's Area Command Office in Ogudu that control everything to Sherry and to Channel Television. So, and there's Area Commander in Ikeja that control that assist. Then the DPO of Ojodu Berger is in the vicinity. If you look ahead under that bridge, you see the team of the division there at that roundabout. That's to coordination. And they are stated close to each other so that to prevent any attack on them by suspected criminal, not to take them unaware. So these two area commanders run the check on daily basis of what you do. And their component is not only those that wear uniform, but I will not say the details of their operation.
You don't have to.
Their component is solid and they may help us. And since they've been there, we deployed them early in December. I've not received any single complaint of human rights violation from that point. If there are any, you'll have seen it in the media. And I want to say this, that Lagosians are civilized people, and Lagosians are patient people. And Lagosians are equally very quick when you do something that is not appropriate to what is expected of you, to quickly draw your attention to it for correction. Okay. So they've been cooperating with us. A lot of successes that we have recorded is due to public-spirited individuals in Lagos that provide us timely information. Anyone that is victim of crime will not say police is doing the wrong thing, because people will come under different guises to penetrate the security of an area. And when they enter there, they start burning tire, start damaging property, and cause confusion in the entire state.
Okay, the other question I have is the use of the touchlight.
Touchlight, yes.
I want to know exactly how this works, because when I drive in the night, since you were asking for, personal.
Okay. Yep.
And the policeman is pointing it, like there will be like 5, 6, and the touchlight on directly to your eyes. Is that how it's done?
No, people, criminal element, in those days, you can judge somebody that has stolen the vehicle from the way he appears. Are you getting me now? But nowadays, they've divided into segments. Recently, I paraded about 21 suspects of one chance fraudster that pick people across Lagos. They use 5, 6 operational vehicles in different locations in Lagos to pick people in the early hour of the morning and take them to their shrine. And when they now ask you that they have dollars, they have pounds, they have this, and you refuse to play along, then they'll keep you there and said you have been kidnapped. 21 of them were arrested at different locations, and 6 of the operational vehicles are recovered. I'm just setting ground to you. Now, somebody will steal a car from where parked, because that is what we have, or your mechanic, or even your own driver. Especially some people that run schools. By the time you employ a driver, in the next week, if that vehicle that is using to bring them is new, the vehicle is gone. So, but it doesn't go out immediately. It goes to an hotel where they don't come and bring the identity of these particulars of this vehicle. He sleeps over, he dresses up in either suit or kaftan, and the following day he's walking over. So when the policeman upon touchlight on you,
directly into the eye.
No. Nobody will put directly into the eye. No. I'm just saying, if they do it, let us know.
Yes.
But they need to put the touchlight and see whether you are actually a woman that you claim that you are, or you are a man that go and wear something else.
Sometimes you even switch on the inner light.
I know, but
the touchlight is still on directly on you.
Get what I'm trying to point out. So we need to conduct a thorough check of the entire vehicle. So if that has happened to you, it is not intended to put the torchlight in deep into your eye. It might be the way they might handle the torchlight. But just to screen the entire, because somebody can hide rifle under the driver's seat. And if you don't know, it moves away. And equally, that is to engage in thorough check so that we can be able to reduce.
That is when the policeman comes close to you, right?
When he now comes to close
But when you are still driving, like you are approaching that checkpoint, that's what I'm saying. When you are approaching the checkpoint, all of the touchlight will be on the driver.
Yes, because
it blinds you, really.
The point is that it's a very police work. The police work is one of the jobs that you mix with the public on daily basis. It's a different thing if you are not operating outside the public. The danger of even being on beat, you don't know the oncoming vehicle, what the oncoming vehicle is carrying. You don't know the occupant of the oncoming vehicle, whether they are armed groups or other groups that can cause death for these policemen. So they have to be alert all the time, and they have to spread themselves. And that is why you see the time, even before you get to them, because if they have to wait for you to get to them, it may be too late for their own safety. So, but definitely anything that will ensure security, there must be 1 or 2 inconveniences on the part of the people. So we want to call for
it's because,
patience.
You know why I raised it? It can be so blinding that the driver wouldn't see, so that there is no accident. I'm just raising it so that it may be something you can take back.
See, apart from the men on the road, you see some reflective things on them that the police are there. But before a torchlight can get to the ray of the torchlight can get to that vehicle will have slowed down. So, but
I get it. I'm just saying that it's something that you can take back.
Take this as
and finally, yes, they are telling me that we should go.
We should close.
But finally, I want to say that I see some policemen looking very nice.
Yeah.
Looking well kept. But I also see some that wear slippers on their uniforms. Please, it's something that you could also take back, sir.
No, we are dealing with that. We won't say, even if it is 1,000, and we have one single one that is not behaving well, that will go to bed. We'll still correct it.
All right.
If we have a strength of 300,000 to 400,000 police personnel, I used to tell people, even if it is just 1%, 1% can be like 4,000 of the entire group. That is causing problems in this country on daily basis. Then nobody will be able to go out. So we are doing a lot to continue to engage in retraining and retraining, which is the focus of the agenda of the Inspector General of Police, IGP.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Commissioner of Police Olondare Jimo, for your time on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Sunrise will be back in a short moment.
We'll be right back.
Yeah, there we go.
Welcome back to Sunrise. And of course, it's been a month already, Yomi, of this new tax law, implementation of the new tax regime in Nigeria. And so we want to find out how it's been.
All of the fears.
All of the fears. I wish we had regular people to talk to.
But 1 million naira be taxed? Will I pay for this? But I've seen regularly now, if I do transfer, I see the stamp duty. I get that, like 100 naira. And then there's the 50 naira, there's the, all of those things. But I'm not sure that's the one that bothers a lot of Nigerians more. So let's
all right. So we have Bengadio, a chartered accountant, tax expert, arbitrator, business lawyer, and what have you. So you know that by the list of things that we've listed out, he's able to answer a lot of questions. He joins us virtually on the program. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure to be here again. Happy New Year.
Happy, well,
yes,
we'll find out how happy the year has been. This is the 31st of January. We're talking about this tax law. It's the 31st of the month. Right, it's the 31st of the month, and, there were a lot of fears by January 1, in fact, from December, on how the new tax regime would be. I know the taxman has been trying a lot to talk about, to assuage people's fears, to say, no, this is how it's going to be. It's going to, how do I put it? This is how it works. That's the
nobody's going to
regular, it's the rich that should be afraid, really, not the regular Nigerians, that nobody will tax. You won't tax school fees, you won't tax all those things. So, but in your experience and with the implementation ongoing so far, what can you say about it? This is January 31 already, yeah.
Well, so many people, they are actually afraid of what they should not be afraid of, in the sense that the new tax regime affects the rich more. And many of the rich people, they are not likely to pay their taxes in January because they are under what we call direct assessment. But the salary earners, they've started enjoying the benefit of the new tax law. So if you earn 1.3 million naira a year, which is a little above 100,000 a month, in the year 2025, and you're giving rent allowance of 500, which is the threshold, in January, your tax came to zero. So that's a great benefit. A number of people in that category around the country, they didn't see tax deducted in their salary. And so most companies have paid salary of January. And so they found out that taxes were not deducted. If you're within that range of 1.3 million a year, after granting rent allowance of 500,000, you have 800,000 left, and the percentage is zero. So that's been the case for personal income tax. Those that affect companies, they are not going to have effect now, because until you finish the preparation of financial statement, audited financial statement, you are not going to know what your profit is. Also, the Nigerian Revenue Service is not going to know what your total revenue is for 2025. And so that has a deadline of June 30 before we can say it becomes late. So people can wait. It's not easy to quickly complete financial statement. So we have not seen too much of the effect around, except for the tax collection agencies trying to set up a new system, changing their letterhead, changing what's on the website. It's on the cost side so far. And I believe they have also changed the calculation method in their programming in the system such that the new law will now apply. But we still have challenges with local governments. The state government need to caution local governments. We have a lot of problems. They serve people all sorts of letters. In fact, local government are serving one demand notice around now through some agent. They say corporate social responsibility, this one and that one. All of these are part of the nuisance taxes that we ought to get rid of. I do not expect in the year 2026 that we still have such pressure when state government have taken care of land use charge. Local government need to sit down and stop all of these letters flying around. We've seen a number of clients sending to our offices demand notice, corporate social responsibility, all sorts of names. This need to stop. So at the federal government level, they're trying their best to make sure that the Nigerian Revenue Services is up to date, but state government need to do a lot with their local government under them.
Okay. So far, you've given us a brief progress in terms of how it has gone this month. But of course, we still have the controversy about the one that was passed or the one that was not passed. They are trying to sort that at the National Assembly level. Let's talk about people who still had that concern. I'm sure you heard, if you're sending this money, make sure you label it or you add a narration so that you are not taxed based on what you have sent. Tell us more about those who, yes, would be taxed, for what and how.
Okay, so when it comes to transaction in the bank account, there is no tax authority that is going to impose any tax on anybody. There's no law that permits anybody to now say, I look at your bank statement and therefore I'm giving you an assessment. No, tax doesn't work that way, because it's not every money that comes into bank account that constitutes income. You can have contribution, family contribution. You may be doing renovation on behalf of your family. Somebody abroad can send you money. Please help me pay school fees of my daughter or son. So it's all fallacy all around the country. That, and then they are mentioning Tinubu. Tinubu, this is healthcare support. Tinubu, this is gift. No, as a matter of fact, personal income tax has nothing to do with the federal government. The only people that pay to federal government are the Nigerian police, those that are, under the control of the federal government. Every other taxes that is paid by individuals, it goes to state government. And so state government do not have time. They don't even have resources to now leave their job and begin to look after your bank account. They don't even have such assets. Now, the only time that bank account can be looked into is when we notice that you file your returns for the year, for example, 2025 returns, and then you claim that your income in 2025 is 5 million naira. for which the state internal revenue gives you an assessment of tax that is less than 1 million to pay. And then they now discover that you that claim you earned 5 million in 2025, record shows from the licensing office that you bought an LX 600 Lexus for over 100 million. You also bought a G-Wagon of 500 million. You move into a new mansion at Banana Island, and that building cost about 2 billion. And so they will now ask you to bring your bank statement because doubt has set in. But this is not in all cases. This affects generally the wealthy people. And so that's where bank account comes in. It comes in when doubt arises. And so they now begin to ask you questions. Sir, you just registered LX 600 in October 2025. Your birthday came up in July. You bought a brand new G-Wagon, and we look at the value in the US, in Germany, and it came to about 700 million. You moved to a house at number XYZ. You know, the state government have details of approved plans. So how can you justify how you possess all of this and yet your income remain as 5 million? Then you can then say, oh, that house in Banana Island was not built by me. It was built by my children. They gave me as my birthday gift, and they pay their taxes. Oh, fantastic. They do that thing and leave you alone. A G-Wagon was registered in your name, sir, during your birthday. Oh, that G-Wagon was given to me by my classmates because they thought of what I've done for them. So they check, they leave you alone. All right? A LX 600 that you bought, what happened? Oh, it was a gift given to me by so person. Maybe it's Aliko Dangote that gave you, and Aliko Dangote has paid his taxes. Then they ask you, so you are free to go.
So
we just want to
sorry,
know.
before you go, the government will have to check with all of these people or all of the names or...
there is a way to check.
Okay.
There is a way to check when they look at chassis number and all the details about the vehicle. They know the importer. They know who the dealer that brought it in, and they know who paid the dealer to get it. You know, the shipment and everything. It doesn't. The whole thing is synchronized now, so you can actually check easily. And then even when they run there is a software that is in the Nigerian Revenue Service. They call it McKinsey Bank Data before. When you check, we can just check names and say payment of 5 million and above from so person. Then they will now see, oh, this person paid so at so time. They're going to leave you alone. Sometimes they may not even call you to ask this question. They could verify. It is after they verify that you were the one that actually paid for the car, you were the one that paid for the construction. Then they now say, sir, can we have your bank statement? Then you start seeing people saying, no. I cannot give you my bank statement. That is an invasion of my privacy. And then the tax authority will say, oh, under the law, we have a right to ask questions when we are in doubt. But if you are genuine, if you are honest, you will send the bank statement to them immediately without fear.
Right. And, you know, what's your assessment of the new tax regime's impact on medium-sized enterprises? You know, we've been talking about individuals now, and, you know, specifically regarding their capacity to create jobs vis-a-vis, you know, fall under the tax burden. You know, how has this been for them?
Honestly, the impact is not going to show now yet. But it's going to happen when people complete their audited financial statement and they fall within the threshold of small and medium enterprises where exemption on 100 million will be applicable to you. the area the government need to work, especially the Nigerian Revenue Service, is how do you determine that someone earns 100 million in 2026 by January? You cannot know this. So what method are you going to put in place? If someone has paid VAT in January up to November, and then by end of the year, you find out that the company's income is within the threshold of less than 100 million, which is exempted from VAT, and the person has already paid. Or you are going to divide 100 million by 12 and say, so if you earn 8,888,333, you will be exempted from paying VAT every month. How are you going to do that? Because it's going to be difficult for you to know if I'm going to earn 100 million at the end of the year, this January. So there are still some areas where programming language need to be inserted into the system on Tax Pro Max so as to determine how to exclude these people or exempt them from paying VAT. But for annual tax, profit tax, which is based on 100 million a year that you are going to be exempted from, that happens at the end of the balance sheet date. And that's going to happen from January, February, March, April. Deadline is June. So small and medium scale enterprises would then become happy that we are not going to pay company income tax. We have development levy of 4%, and we're going to exempt them also from all of this. But that you will not know until your result is out. So, but by and large, when you find yourself within this threshold, it means that the money you've been given to government in terms of company income tax before, you can then channel it towards, increasing your capacity and indirectly increasing the number of people you can employ.
Okay. Mr. Adeoye, just before we go, we have this question from our viewer, one of our viewers, Festus Akinboyewa. He wants to know if diaspora Nigerians who invest in Nigeria's government treasury bills, whether they will pay tax on the interest under the new tax law. He wants to know that. Quickly, please.
So there are provisions on exemptions when you earn money in Nigeria. The tax law says money that is derived or brought into the system. Taxes are imposed on interest by the bank. Now, if you invest in Nigeria banks, what government does before is to regard the withholding tax that bank takes from your interest as they regard it as frank investment income. In other words, you don't pay any other tax after that. Now the government is now saying, no, let's not do that way. We aggregate all your income together in the year. We look at the one you earn from your investment, and then the taxes you have paid by way of direct deduction of withholding tax will now be considered to know what is left. However, on foreign investment, in the schedule to the Nigerian Tax Act, there is a provision for exemption for people who are investing in government bonds and treasury bills. And so they are going to be covered under those exemptions. But for every other investment you have with Nigerian banks, you will be subjected to withholding tax. Then they will now look at other income that they will aggregate it together and deduct what you have paid in direct deduction at source.
Right. We must thank you for your time again. Mr. Gbenga Adeoye, chartered accountant, tax expert, arbitrator, business lawyer. Thank you for answering those questions as we continue to navigate this new tax regime. It's just January 31, so a month into it. We have the rest of the year to go. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Make sure you declare your tax returns accurately so they don't ask for your bank statement.
Thank you. We will do.
Thank you indeed. And I I think we'll be back in a moment.
Yes.
We have that segment where we'll talk about mental health
and
well-being.
Yeah.
You know, just distress. We'll be back. Welcome back. Now let's talk about mental health and well-being.
In the workplace.
Wake up, hustle and bustle. You have to meet targets. You have to ensure that this is done, that is done. As someone who engages in one form of work or another, how can you distress?
Yes.
How can you ensure that you are prepared better for the next day,
yes.
For the next week, for the next month? So
yes.
depending on how you want to scale it. But
and for us, we have to be here for you. No, 9 to 12,
yes,
3 hours.
It's part of distressing, you know, just you're at home, you know, just lounging, you have tea, coffee, whatever you're using to relax. It's part of it. So let's be joined now by the founder of the Care Inn, Oluwaseun Dosunmu, who joins us virtually. Is it cold? Yes, I see it's cold on your side. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. To be frank, the weather is really cold.
Yes.
And I would say that I'm really excited to join this conversation because it's, focusing heavily on well-being. And this is, a conversation that is global. So having this conversation at this time is quite essential. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Now, let's talk about, we want to narrow this discussion down to workers. Everyone who's got a 9-to-5, a business to run, a market to sell, whatever you do as a worker, how do you distress? Yes, in the course of, you're working, you find out that in meeting targets, you want to stress yourself, you want to overstretch yourself. But how then do you ensure that the other part of your life, which is your health, is also optimum?
So first of all, I know the word distress is not something a lot of Nigerians embrace because we assume we're built to be resilient. And that is even causing us, more physical stress and, in fact, mental stress. For workers who, have to drive to work, have to do their regular jobs, work from 8 to 5 or 8 to 6, and then head back home, to, be in the traffic for 2 hours. I mean, you have to be intentional about distressing. You have to create plans to ensure that you're distressing efficiently, so you don't break down. So one of the ways that I usually encourage people to rest is to take spa treats. I'm a massage advocate, and I know that massage does really help in terms of distressing. It helps in managing stress. For those who can afford it, I would recommend, depending on your schedule, and your lifestyle, to adopt massage sessions or spa treats generally as a way of distressing. For some other people, it will require that you need to start speaking up, talking to people about how you're feeling. And in this context, it means offloading what you've got on your chest, offloading, those heavy thoughts that are weighing you down and really causing you a lot of mental stress. For some people, they even struggle to get quality sleep, which is not really good for the overall well-being. So I would encourage, if you can, if you have trusted sources around, you can leverage on offloading and having those deep conversations that you really will not have with your boss or your colleagues at work. But I mean, if you can pick up that phone and ring someone and just offload, I mean, that can help you in distressing and decluttering those thoughts that are quite heavy on your mind. I also believe that, if you want to distress, you also need to, like I said, be intentional. You need to know when work is over and when it is time for rest. So when it's time for rest, I mean, this is not the time where you scroll through, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram for all the conversations that may not really concern you. You need to reduce your number of hours, reduce your number of, interaction on social media, because this can cause you to be highly aware and alert. But then if you're resting, you don't need to be at top of such level. You need to distress. So I'd encourage people to clearly have plans for rest, which is includes sleep, going for spa sessions, taking breaks when necessary. If you feel like, this workload is too much, you could just ask for a break, to just clear your mind and also relax.
With this, nowadays, now we've moved to a state where COVID has taught us that you don't always have to be in the office to get the work done. So a lot of companies have shifted to virtual work environments. But with that also comes the consequence of not being able to balance when you're working and where you're at home. And you just touched on it, never truly entering into the state of rest, because you're always, once you're at home, you've not really clearly defined that boundary that I'm at work and now I'm at home. How do we define that boundary, and how do we ensure that we stick to it?
Again, we've come to realize that, times can evolve and transform how we work, and our settings can actually change per time. Our new reality is that we are merging working from the office and working from home. However, because we're talking about distressing and doing it the right way, I believe that, when you are working, you have a certain hour, for instance, 8 to 5. And once you are done at 5, you need to shut down your system. Try as much as possible not to allow the work linger into your rest time. If it does, that means you're on the end losing hours of rest, which might cause you more stress, might cause you, aside from the sitting posture, which is also like a physical challenge that you might be battling with due to sitting for too long or being in a sedentary position. So you might also need to consider that, the earlier you shut down, that's finish work, and, take your break or go into your rest mode, the better for you. I also feel that aside from being intentional, again, like I said, you have to also, have clear strategies as to how to continue to define what work duties are and what home duties are. So if you are able to have that understanding that, I'm not having work conversations during my rest time, and I'm not talking rest while I'm at work, it helps you, have that understanding of what to do when you're, in either work mode or rest mode.
Right. But that's in an ideal environment. We're talking about ideals now. But there are times when you have constant deadlines that even if you're working 9 to 5 and you leave work at 5 p.m., for instance, but you're not done with what you need to do. So which means that your rest time is shortened because you probably have to get to the office earlier the next day to finish up on that deadline. That so that you don't miss it. So, I mean, how do we balance this out?
So it's not going to be like a one-way solution for all, and every situation would never be the same. But if we're talking about distressing here, then there's a need for you to understand that you have to make efforts, conscious efforts, to advancing your rest time. So in cases where you have to work overtime to deliver on deadlines. Yes, those are peculiar times that may not happen all of the time. So if you're having to do 6 days a week just to meet up with the deadline, then that's fine. But you know that once you're done, you need to actually take a break and rest properly, if you understand what I mean.
For, okay, this deadline, you have it. Now, let's talk about the one that between healthy ambitions that you have and some, unrealistic ambitions that can put you under immense pressure.
I mean, it's today is the 31st of January and 2026. I know 30 days ago we're all,
well,
Happy New Year. We're all writing down our goals. We're all, strategizing on, first quarter I have to deliver on this, and this. And fast forward, this is the 31st day of January. I'm sure some of us have not ticked off all of the things we wrote down. But I mean, it's the days are going to go by, and we just have to come to that realization that yes, there's that ambitious side of us who wants to get things done. However, we also need to know that if we fail at meeting a deadline, we can always reschedule, we can always rearrange things as long as it's not life-threatening. So we need to have that understanding, and empathy for ourselves to say, if I don't meet my deadline as per personal development at this time, then it's fine. The one that is toxic, that causes you not to have, that overstresses you or causes you physical pain, or puts you in positions where you're not having enough family time. If you've got a family, not having quality time with your partners, not having, quality time to sleep, then you can tell that's becoming toxic, because it's having an adverse effect on your health, your physical and emotional health. So if you realize that these goals that I'm setting for myself, or these efforts that I'm putting into trying to achieve these goals, is having this adverse effect on my health, my relationships, or even finance sometimes, then it's necessary to take a pause to, redefine and re-strategize. But above all, having goals, having ambitions are very essential. I mean, that's what drives us as human beings. But again, when it starts to take you past that, having quality time with your family, quality time for relationships, or it's even, causing you regular stress where you have to indulge in using painkillers almost every day, that leads to, misuse of drugs or medications. Now that's not very healthy. So I think at that point you can tell that this isn't good for me.
I'm glad you touched on sleep, because it will seem as if we underestimate the power of sleep when it comes to rest and mental well-being. You are in London, so you know about when people pack shifts. Maybe that's not how we do it in Nigeria, but we also have some of those things that will make us, oh, I need to meet this deadline, I'm not sleeping, I would try and make up for it. Most of the time, it doesn't work that way, because sometimes when you have lost that sleep, you may never regain that time again. So let's talk about the very important part that sleep will play in distressing.
Okay, it's good that you just highlighted the different countries, and Nigeria. We don't have a lot of shift. We don't work in shift patterns. Basically, you just go to work, do your 8 to 5, and then you're off. Here in the UK, it's more of, yes, you've got a lot of sectors that employ the shift patterns, hence, having people work more over the over 7 days, let me put it that way. Unfortunately, we've had cases of people, going to bed at night and not waking up the next morning. When we ask or when we inquire about, the lifestyle of such an individual, oftentimes it's said that, this individual has been working back-to-back shifts and they are not getting enough rest. This is going to lead me to, the importance of sleep. Some people are on permanent night shifts, and they don't enjoy the night rest as usual, and they have to come back at work in the morning and start their day again. This is causing a lot of people mental and physical stress. It's increasing, their blood pressure. A lot of people are not even cognizant of, how their blood pressure works. And some are living with really high blood pressure and they don't even know by, working consistently. They are losing quality hours of sleep and they are not even getting professional help. So all of this, adds up to the negative impact on their overall well-being. But I mean, sleep is very essential. From research, 7 to 8 hours, very good. If you can get more than that, then that's fine. In fact, I said earlier that I'm an advocate for spa treats and massage therapies. What you can get from a 1 hour session sometimes equates to about 8 hours sleep. You find some clients sleeping during a massage session. That's an indication of how the body is tired and requires a lot of rest. So one of the things I recommend for people is, if you can't afford it, just always book yourself. If you are not sleeping well at night, you probably might sleep during a massage session if you can.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the insights you've shared with us today. We've been having a chat with the founder of the Care Inn, Oluwaseun Dosunmu, joined us virtually from the United Kingdom. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. It was an insightful discourse, and I just hope a lot of Nigerians can prioritize, well-being for what it is. I know the country is not the way it should be in terms of economic situation, but I mean, we still need to prioritize rest and prioritize our well-being.
Yes, right. Because you need to stay alive and healthy to be able to, work at any time. Thank you so much for your time again.
Thank you, and bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so part of distressing is what we'll be doing next.
Yes.
Our guest is here to help you relax. Don't miss out on it. Please stay with us.
Don't know we get status. Don't you talk and shut up. Don't you talk too much, you going easy.
We're distressing. We're distressing. Oh my God! So a way to distress is to play music and just
listen to music, dance. I love to dance.
Yes, let down your hair, and just sometimes throw caution to the wind, like. And as I said, stay off your phone. Stay off the phone. So I'm sure you enjoyed that little piece that we brought for you, and that's from our Artist of the Week. She'll join us shortly.
She's joined us?
Yeah, well,
she's joining us
here officially. Right, Seriki Oreoluwa Regina, professionally known as DJ Rainbow. There you go. Is a rising creative talent, steadily carving a niche within Nigeria's entertainment space. A native of Ogun State, she's a graduate of the National Open University of Nigeria, where she studied environmental science and resource management. I can see how she's managing her environment. Her journey into professional DJing began 5 years ago, driven by a deep passion for music and creative expression. She received her secondary education at Model College Ibobu and has continued to evolve.
She will tell us more about this journey.
Yes, artistic identity over the years. She's also actively involved in content creation and creative networking and so many other things. So we give you DJ Rainbow, everyone.
DJ Rainbow, thank you for joining us. Good to have you. How you doing? I can see you are doing great. You are doing great.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, you're welcome. DJ Rainbow. Wait, how did you come about that name first? Let me start from there.
Oh, it was
you like colors?
Yeah, and because the fact that rainbow, it means diversity and positivity, and which is what that's what I carry, that's what I bring. Yes. And it has a lot of colors that I add to the sound, to the mood of people, because I bring colors to what I do. Like, I make people happy.
That's nice. That's nice. So this journey has been 5 years, right?
Yes.
Why did you have to leave environmental sciences and, Mommy and Daddy are happy about that, right?
At first they were not. But when they started saying that, okay, there's a lot to it. It is not just about going to parties and just, they felt like it was just you going to parties and just, because they wanted me to be a nurse. And
wow. Oh, nurse Rainbow. I can imagine. I can imagine. So, so just describe for us, what the journey has been like for this past 5 years that you've been into DJing.
It has been beautiful. It has been a lot of roller coaster, but in a beautiful way. And I've learned a lot from the journey. Yes, that's
right. And when did you decide that, when did you know, let me put it that way, because it's a knowing. When did you know that, oh, I think this is what I want to do?
I think I started realizing this is my calling from the feedback I was getting from the people that love what I do, because the feedback was very nice. They really appreciate what I do, and that was where I knew this is my calling. This is where I am supposed to be.
That is when you knew it was your calling.
Yes.
And you've been having a swell time doing it.
Yes.
But I guess sometimes things may not go the way you planned them. Do you have such moments?
Yes, I do.
You're playing the sound and you don't see that energy from your audience.
Yes, I do. I feel like we go, because if I'm having those kind of moments, I just relax and just pray a little, and in a few moments everything would get back to normal.
You just think back and say, where is that sound that will make everyone
Yes, and I just think about the reason why I'm here, what brought me here, what inspires me, and I think back and relax and just pray a little, and everything come back to normal.
And
okay.
Who are your biggest influences in music and otherwise?
In DJ?
In music, in entertainment industry, let me put it that way.
For DJ, I would say the likes of Dope Caesar, Consequence, K-Wise, and Kupi. And for music, the people I love is Wizkid. I'm a big fan of Wizkid, Davido, Burna Boy, and Lex.
So before we leave here now, we're going to have some Davido, Wizkid sounds, and all of that. Okay, let's talk about your signature as a DJ. What else do you bring on? We've seen DJs, we've seen people. What is that extra touch that you have for yours?
Okay, for mine, I would say I bring realness. I bring positivity, I bring energy, I bring good vibes.
Energy, good vibes,
yes.
And
realness, positivity.
When you say realness, what do you mean?
What I mean by realness is I bring there's no filter to what I do. There's no filter to me. This is me. This is what you are saying is the real one.
What you order is what you get.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Now, The music that you play, I guess it will be dependent on your audience.
Yes.
How do you curate the music that you play?
Okay.
Is it on the spot? Is it something that you plan ahead of time?
Sometimes it is. I plan ahead, because I ask people I'm going to like work for. I ask them, okay, what kind of I ask them, like, how many guests are you expecting? I just ask a few questions, and from them, I can tell, okay, their age range, and I would be able to, like, tell this is the kind of person they're expecting. And I'll ask what kind of party it is. If they should tell me, okay, it is an adult party, it is a child's party, it is a this, so from there, I'll know what to, like, create, and I'll give them...
You give the good vibes.
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever experienced that, okay, you checked everything, your equipment that you're working with, but you get to the stage and something isn't going right? Has it happened to you before?
Yes, it has.
I've had
those moments where, like, maybe I get to the stage and maybe something is not working, or maybe my laptop is malfunctioning or something. And in that moment, I don't know, because everything just feels like, everything feels very, I don't even know how to put it, but in that moment, we would always try to, like, look for an alternative. Maybe I'll use another person's laptop, or maybe they would just try to, like, provide something else.
And then the people are waiting for you, right? Like the audience, they're waiting, and you are battling with trying to make it happen.
That's the work of the hype man. Then the hype man, like, keeps them, like, maybe continue saying something to just keep them on check and all that.
Do you go with hype men for your shows?
Yes, sometimes.
Okay.
It depends on my client. If they want me to come with an hype man, I would provide one for them. And if they have one already, we'll just, like, work together and team up and make everything beautiful.
And what's your approach towards creating music? I know you talked about your influences, some of the artists that you like and all that. But what else do you think about? What goes into the process of creating your lists? Even when you're not doing parties, DJs also have lists that they create to be able to give to people in case your client doesn't know what they want. They can say just make us feel good. It could be a feel-good party. So what goes in your mind when you're creating a list for feel-good parties that you are given a chance to be creative about?
In that process, I would say I'll just create something that, okay, I would try to put myself in their position and to check my mood. Okay, maybe they would probably tell me they want maybe a feel-good party, and I would create something that, okay, I know that, okay, they can vibe to, and when they listen to it, they would definitely like it. I'll just have to come up with something that I know that, okay, would match this mood that they want to be. Maybe a feel-good mood. I would create it.
So we go to parties sometimes, and the DJ, I want to know the psychology or the science behind it. So a DJ is playing a song and you're vibing to it, you're dancing, and before you say, he has changed again. And you're like, okay, where are you going? Where are you taking me? Okay, I'm trying to follow that one. And then why does it happen sometimes like that with some DJs? Or do you do that too?
Okay. I think what we do is we try to study our crowd, and we try to, like, okay, because the work of a DJ is I have to, like, be changing the song, because you have to know that, okay, yes, a DJ is here. You have to feel me.
Okay.
So I have to be giving you back to back, like, changing the song.
Okay, let me just put it this way. You just take the first stanza of this song and then you play it and change the next.
No, I don't do it like that.
That's what happens. I don't do like that. That's what we see sometimes.
No, we have to study our crowd.
One day when I can get hold of a DJ, I can ask, why do you guys want...
No, we don't do it like that. We have to study our crowd and know when to, like, put in the next song. yeah, we have to like put in the next song at the right time. Study your crowd. Okay, when they are feeling it and all of that, then you just give them another banger. So they'll just shout and all that.
So tell us about the kind of music requests that Nigerians make. We have come to a point where I've realized that a lot of people do not really care for foreign music in that sense anymore. Well, you say it depends on the crowd, you know. But I see that there's a lot of, most parties now, almost maybe 98% is Nigerian music. Nigerians don't worry about foreign music. Or is it different now?
No, right now, this era that we are now, our Gen Z era, now we listen to more of Amapiano, Afro House. We listen to dancehall too. That's like maybe back in the days for all these 90s, 2000s. We listen to dancehalls. We listen to hip hop, Afro House, Afro beats. Yeah, the likes.
Right, and another thing, in follow up to that, there was an event I went for, and the celebrants said that, I think it was a 50-year-old person's party, said the songs we listened to when we were in secondary school, like the 90s music, foreign music,
90s.
played for me, played for my guests, and the DJ was doing something else. I don't know. Maybe he'll play one or two, and then he'll go to Afrobeats and something else. And the celebrant was very angry that his friend was saying he will not get his balance. You know, because so why don't you, if you had that pre-request, you know, it's a pre-request, why don't you, you know, compile your music or search online to get it? Why do we fail our clients sometimes as DJs?
That's why, as I said earlier, I try to like make inquiries. I try to know more about this person, what the kind of music they like, so I won't get there and start playing something else. I try to like get to know them, what they like, I'll ask them questions like, okay, for example, what's like your best artist? Which artist do you like? Try to like, once they tell me few things, I'll be able to like, okay, this is the kind of person they are. Okay, they don't listen to maybe hip hop. Maybe they are R&B, maybe they are Afrobeats, maybe they are dance. So I'll be able to like pick some points from there, and I feel like maybe that's where some people make mistakes.
Yeah.
They don't make inquiries, a proper inquiries that they're supposed to make.
So that you know what your clients want.
You know what they want.
Let's come back to you. If you're not DJing, since you have decided to let the environmental science and resource management be, what else would you have been doing?
If I was not DJing, it's really hard because I can't even picture myself doing something else because I'm not interested in anything else apart from DJing and teaching people. But if I was not DJing, probably I would have been a nurse that my mommy wanted. I would have given that just for her. That would have been just for her to just satisfy her. But I wouldn't be happy about it because it's not something I find joy doing.
And we're happy so that you are not in the hospital trying to fulfill your mommy's wish while you are the patients are suffering for it. So since it's DJing that you want, then you know it's good. But where do you see this going, particularly in the entertainment industry? How far do you think DJs would go? We've seen a lot of DJs in the past who have made waves and who've made names for themselves, but of course perhaps because of age they've gone into other things. How far do you think this part of entertainment would go in the future?
Is it for me?
No,
generally for the
generally I feel like it is.
Do you think it's something that is going to after some time, okay, we don't really have to go with the DJ. We have the band. Let's go with the band, or people will just generally move away,
switch and to something else. Oh, I don't see like that, because I feel like it's going to keep getting bigger and bigger. Because before we have few females, and now we have a lot of females that I can't even count. Like people are falling in love with it and doing it, and I feel like it's going to get even more bigger than this.
And I guess it pays the bill. Let me not loud that part.
Yeah, so who's the first female DJ that inspired you?
first female DJ that inspired me, actually, she's in South Africa now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, she's in South Africa.
What's her name?
Her name is DJ Diva.
Okay.
She was the first female that I saw, and I fell in love with the craft through her.
Oh, wow.
Because I saw the way she was doing. It was so beautiful. Because back then, I used to feel like DJs, they're always like tomboy and all those things. But she was different. She was feminine. Like, she just covers her body, like wear heels, carry a bag. Like, she does not carry school bag the way I carry a handbag. And I fell in love. Like, this is a DJ. Like, I didn't even know, like, until somebody told me that she's a DJ, and I was like, wow, she looks so nice. And the way she was carrying it, doing it with the old charisma and everything, and I just fell in love with her.
Wow.
How did you, okay, I don't know if I should use the word break into this segment of the industry. How was it easy for you to be able to find your feet, 5 years into it, or was it a difficult task?
At first, it was not easy because people were like, oh, I can't do this. Because it is more of a male entertainment dominant space. So, like, it was so hard to get into that space because they were like, oh, you're a female, you can't do this, you can't live this, you can't carry this, and, But with time, I got used to it, and once they saw what I could do, and people started giving me my own space, and I was able to carry out.
I think we should hear a bit more of what you can mix. And I've always wondered, what do you guys always?
They're always turning and
turning.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, I should play something.
Please, yes, please go.
Okay, I was hoping that that 80s song will come.
The tempo I'm playing on is very high.
It's very high. Okay. So that also determines how you bring in other songs. As we wind down now, what advice would you be able to give, maybe females or even males, young people who would want to come into this profession? What I pay
down.
Just go ahead.
Okay, I should just I can leave it like this.
Yes.
Oh, okay. The advice that I would give them to just be focused, determined, and stay consistent. Those are the 3 keys. And believe in yourself.
And as I said earlier, this pays the bill because that is also very important, Because you don't go to the market and say, yes, I'm a DJ, give me this.
Yes.
It's money you take there.
Yes, because
so it pays the bill.
So many branches to it.
Okay. Different branches that will bring in the money.
Yes, because I also teach people too.
Okay.
Wow.
So that's one way I get money from it too.
So nice. in the people that you teach, I mean, what's the
I train.
You train the training that you do. What's your ratio, male female ratio?
Both male, female. I teach both gender.
No, as in, what's the ratio of the people that you've trained? The number of people that you've trained so far?
Okay. Like let's say 3.
3 what?
4 people.
Okay, at a time, right?
Yes, at a time.
Okay. Okay, we'll be going now, but because I want to dance. But let's just sign off, and I'll be able to say, okay, thank you so much. Thank you for your time on the show. Seriki Oreoluwa Regina, thank you. She's a DJ who studied environmental science and resource management. And that's it on Sunrise. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you're relaxed. I hope, we have, gingered you for the day.
Yes, and helped you to distress as well.
Yes, thank you indeed for your time. Next week is another show.
Yes, certainly.
I'm Yomi Otai.
And I'm Joke Rogers. Bye.
Okay.
Close out house, please.
DJ Rainbow. We are ready to dance.